Hello, everyone. Welcome to Construction Technology Podcast. I'm Luigi, CEO of Provision. I'm joined by my two fabulous co-hosts. We have Andrew from Join and Mike from Build Vision. Gentlemen, how are you?
Good man.
Good, good. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Happy SpaceX IPO day.
Mm.
Only 20 years in the making. I got to imagine that Peter Thiel is jumping for joy in Argentina right now. Actually, he's a pretty stoic guy. He's probably not jumping. He's probably
His shares are his Roth
slightly
too.
amused.
Tax free.
That's right. Did you guys follow the news that he's reportedly fleeing the US and moving to Argentina for fear of potential political persecution?
I did. Don't like I think it's more the tax reasons.
It's tax reasons.
Tax
I know
tax US
he
is gonna come down hard on him.
well, yeah, it's like it is pretty political in that sense.
Yeah.
What a windfall, though. The interesting thing about the Founders Fund investment in SpaceX, it was actually led by Luke Nosek, not Peter Thiel, who then spent quite a while running SPVs specifically to continually invest in SpaceX, along with I think it's called Valiant Fund. Valiant. They're going to have a huge windfall from the SpaceX IPO. Anyway, fantastic. It's still kind of crazy to see how this company has become a commercial success, given how low probability it was for them to do this well. But it is absolutely inspiring. Let's talk about the first agenda item for the day: SpaceX IPO. I've been asking a lot of people in my orbit, pun intended, whether they're buy or sell SpaceX IPO. And I think that's an interesting question. I think the better question is like, at what price do you buy? Because the obvious benefits of the SpaceX is like, this is probably one of the most defensible businesses of all time. And I saw a tweet the other day that said the company that controls space controls Earth, and like it's a very kind of smooth brain thesis, but like I kind of see it. Anyway, so let's go round table. Andrew, are you buy or sell SpaceX at 1.75 trillion?
Triple sell, whatever the Arrested Development joke is. Not a don't buy. It's remarkable what they built, the technical achievements. Like we regularly land rockets now. It's stunning. It's inspiring. My ADU has Starlink, which is amazing connectivity that can be deployed around the world. Those are all very real things, but they don't add up to anywhere near 1.7 trillion.
It's the classic Musk hype train. He's so good at it. Like he did this so well at Tesla, and he continues to do it. They're like their PE is still like, I don't know, last time I checked it was like 100 or
Yeah,
over
so I don't know that
100x.
I'm a sell, actually.
Right.
Like
You're just not a buy.
I'm just not buying, but I don't know if I want to bet against an Elon Musk hype train.
Trailing price to earnings at Tesla is 350. Mike, what are you thinking? Are you buy or sell?
So I want to unpack what this is actually doing. It's him raising $75 billion at the cheapest capital possible. So there's no incentive for him to not have that valuation price be as there's only incentive for him to have the valuation price be as high as possible. He said he needed to go to market. He raised $75 billion. He's doing pretty much what we do in the VC world, in the private markets, and someone's putting a number out there. Elon Musk said the number, which is historically not what you do at IPOs. He says shares are going out at 175 a share. We're going to go raise $75 billion. They're 2x oversubscribed. With that 175 a share, it gets to the $1.8 trillion valuation. I think he is playing 40 chess, whatever else is playing literally like tic-tac-toe. Because
I agree
all
with
it
I
is
agree with
it's
you
an
there.
investment vehicle to bring in capital. Nothing matters. Like SpaceX could go to $10 billion valuation tomorrow. And Elon Musk would still have $75 billion of capital to continue to invest in his vision to go to Mars and do all these things.
Well, I don't know if that's what he's doing. I mean, okay, I will say a few things. One, it is brilliant. He hasn't run a traditional IPO. He's not doing like an actual auction with, at this valuation, how much would you invest? He's like, it is 1.75 trillion. How much do you want? And we are not doing real price discovery. This is the number. And it's very unconventional. Also, he also carved out quite a bit for retail, more than I think is typically allocated. The numbers that I saw were 20 to 30%. I think that number is typically smaller. And I think the way he's doing that is because he's such an effective marketer. Like, obviously, he owns Twitter, But if you've been following the news, it was like, okay, SpaceX coming up at 1.75 trillion. Everyone's like, that's really high. And then he published Anthropic is going to pay them 1.x billion per month for compute. Then he published Google is going to be paying them 1.x billion dollars per month per compute. Then he publishes the space data center video. Then he's like, it's all very coordinated so that he can build this hype train. Google can opt out of their contract after a couple of months. Anthropic, I think that's the genuine need, but he's built really good retail demand, and I think that's what he's banking on. But like, look, the reason why I push back, that 75 billion, where's it going?
How do we, if that like is excellent, fantastic marketing? So if it's 25% of 75 billion or whatever, we're talking about $20 billion of retail money that's going in to this company at a $1.7 trillion valuation. Like where does that, retail capital go? What happens to it over time if that valuation is not tethered in something?
So again, I think it's the vehicle to raise $75 billion to go do the things that he wants to do. It doesn't matter about the valuation. I think
Well,
that's the whole pitch. It's
To him,
like right, but like okay, all right, even if or say like the upside of this opportunity, like at 10x, like a 10x return on investment would be a $17 trillion company, which would be 40% of the GDP of the US. Like that's not like that's you're not investing in SpaceX now with that. Like if you're going in thinking it's going to 10x in a year or 2 years, you're just that's not
there's no
logical.
way. There's no
That's
way.
not logical. But
You
for
guys,
him, but you're betting like if the macro perspective is you're betting that he's going to go be able to spend the $75 billion to implement things better than any other one else in the industry. So he's going to be able to terrafab, right? He's going to try to bring in house the entire TSMC, ASML process to make GPU chips. So he's going to go build a million square foot factory in Texas to do that. Like if that hits, that's a big effing. Then he's going after a $5 trillion opportunity with against Nvidia. So then there's the opportunity of like, but it's like he needs capital to invest that. It's not typical SaaS. And instead of the government supporting
so
it,
so it's like
that's
it's
the
a
bet.
$75 billion
safe.
seed fund, like seed
I wouldn't
investment
even
from the
say seed
public.
investment. I would say it'd be closer to like what we did in World War II or the Apollo mission. But it's not instead of government funded, it's public market funded.
That's fair. I feel like a lot of people, like if you look at Tesla, I still don't understand the equity price, but that company made electric vehicles real, like
Yeah,
through
and
sheer
self
force of
driving.
will. Like
I don't drive a car anymore.
FSD is real and it works and it's magical. My head of product, he loves FSD. He's going on a road trip this weekend. He doesn't plan to touch the steering wheel.
Is it
And
allowed in Canada?
yes, in between igloos, you can use FSD, but not if there's a polar bear on the street. Then you have to turn it off. Look, I think you guys are saying things. You're saying things that are passing each other. I think the valuation is crazy, but Mike is correct. He's just raising capital to, I don't think to scale to build a colony on Mars. I think he's raising it to compete with OpenAI and Anthropic, and I think it's very foolish. Now, okay, let me give you my bear case, and I'll give you my bull case. My bear case is Grok should be killed because there's two markets. There's the consumer and then there's the enterprise. On the consumer, who's using it? Like people telling their Tesla to make fart noises. I don't think that they're as ingrained in the mind share of the consumer. Like they go to ChatGPT. In my opinion, ChatGPT is one consumer and they're going to scale ads and they're going to make a shitload of money. On enterprise, where you want top tier models to do complicated business tasks, maybe they can get there, but Anthropic has such a lead. And as you know, like once you're in enterprise, it's so sticky. I fear like it'll be too late by the time they actually get Grok to be performant because it's not frontier on anything. That's my
is it
bear. But
sticky? Don't you talk about how you swap models
That's
all
how
the time?
I would say there's zero stick.
Like the last Ramp had their like
Sponsored
AI
sponsored by
index
Ramp.
sponsored by Ramp. Please give us money. I hear you have some. They had their like AI thing where they look at it's only credit card bills for AI companies, but they looked at growth in it, and then they looked at the distribution of like the top 1%, top 10%, and the median. And I think what was interesting is that the top one, like the number of providers you use, scales with the volume of your usage as a company. Like there doesn't appear to be a lock-in effect in the same way that like I don't know, like CRM
SAP.
SAP or something like that, right? Like not a lot of people out there running both SAP and like Oracle's ERP.
Mm.
God help them if they are.
You you
Yeah.
want the I think the perspective is he's taking the bet that model, that foundational models, open source will get to a point that it's competitive enough, and then all of his data centers will be able to run the inference of open models, and they'll be able to take away market share and not have to worry about grok. Because if you think about this, like right now, what it like coding is by far the most useful example of Fable or any of the newest models. Besides that, like where for all of our customers, we're optimizing for cost, not Fable. Like, we didn't switch on Thursday for a customer facing application to use Fable. But on Thursday, everyone on our engineering team switched their Claude code and cursor to Fable. So with that, saying like there is a TAM for software engineers for the cutting edge models, but the TAM for everything else, I don't think it's cutting edge models. It's a reduction in cost. And there's still pressure from companies like Cursor that are putting pressure on Anthropic, where I talked to someone at Procore yesterday and they're trying to reduce their token bill by 10x. And he goes, well, we use Cursor. Is Composer 2.5 that much worse than Fable? Are they seeing a 10x improvement by paying for Fable as opposed to Cursor 2.5? And they can't answer that question. And a lot of large enterprises cannot answer that question right now.
Okay, so so Luigi, you're saying it's 75. It's not for Mars. It's not for rockets. It's to go do AI. Yeah, I agree that seems unwise. But I feel like Mike, you've really unlocked something in my head that like the looking at the SpaceX IPO, you could say it's a company that's been privately funded for 22 years that is no longer able to raise capital from the smart money, and so it's going to the dumb money, and it's going to fleece the public for
I think
money.
it's not smart and
Or
dumb. It's cheaper capital.
Or you could say this isn't about returns. This is a full-throated endorsement of industrialization and shut up and take my money and give me a return if it happens or not. I want to see what Elon Musk and SpaceX will build with this money exist out in the world. And so it's almost a charitable donation in a sense.
He has a history, like his thesis on OpenAI was for it to be open sourced. I know
Yeah.
people don't like Elon Musk sometimes, but like what he's playing a game where like the money doesn't matter anymore. Like nothing he does is gonna, if he's playing his bet is like, how do I make humanity succeed? And like you're theoretically getting people excited now because they can own shares in SpaceX.
Yeah.
Like my dad has a SpaceX shirt,
Does he have a Build
right?
Vision shirt?
He does. He doesn't have a
That's
Build Vision
good.
shirt, but he has a SpaceX. He likes his space. Like he like my dad had literally drove in his full self driving car for the first time 2 weeks ago, and he's like, "I'm going to send a letter to Elon. This is amazing."
I also believe that Elon will build amazing things. I just think he's lighting a lot of money on fire with his AI pursuits, and he should just let it go. Like
Who cares though?
I just don't think he needs to build a frontier level model because they're like if you looked at the S1, they're making a decent amount of money from Starlink. They're making okay amount of money from launches. And again, you know, I'm a seed stage construction tech SaaS fan. Okay.
Decent money, like
It's
a
not
billion here, a billion
really
there.
What was the
but
convention on this Anthropic
it's not
deal?
for like
Jesus
for
Christ.
1.75 trillion, you'd expect, like hundreds of billions of dollars of revenue. They're building like 11 from Starlink, 4 from launches, but they're losing money solely because of XAI. And I think he's going to continue to do that because he doesn't want OpenAI or Anthropic to succeed. No. Okay. My bull thesis though is something related to what Mike said a couple days ago in our text. He will own the entire stack. He'll own compute. He'll own the chips, and he will be able to do things that will increase test time compute. I don't know if you guys have seen this on Twitter. This came out a few days ago. Implications of large scale test time compute. Effectively, there is no known limit to how you can scale intelligence with test time compute because there is not enough compute to allow us to continue scaling performance of these models. We likely do not know what capability ceiling is for modern LLMs because it's too expensive to measure. Anyway, the benefits of doing test time compute, obviously you get an increase in performance, but also you can decrease the cost of that intelligence per token if you keep scaling test time compute. So the bull thesis is that he's able to muster so much compute, and if you can vertically integrate down stack where he will be able to build the most capable, cheapest model because he will have the ability to scale test time compute more than anybody. And I think that is a very possible outcome that maybe nobody else will be able to do. Like he won't need to have supply chain issues from TSMC or Nvidia. He can do that in house. He can muster capital. He can do all these things if
What
that's the
does
case.
a next generation fab cost? Like, what does one next generation fab cost?
Go to Terrafab's website. They're gonna spend like
Nope.
25. That's what
Oh, they're going to spend at
that's
least 25. I don't believe the number. Like whatever. I don't believe any
well, it's gonna be
marketing numbers.
25. Yeah, it's gonna be. But
Yeah.
that's the next gen. That's gonna be the
Even
bet.
this isn't enough money to credibly own that entire stack if you're starting from scratch.
You don't think so? 75?
No,
You don't think
it's
75
so
billion?
vast. Like Nvidia's like they've got chip design and they're a $1 trillion. They've got chip design and then they have like interconnect technology and then they have CUDA. Those are like their three big things. And Jensen Huang and a cool jacket. Like those are the four big things that like drive business value. But like they you think they haven't looked at bringing like more manufacturing in house? Like Intel is walking away from a lot of manufacturing. Like they're working with TSMC because it's so goddamn fucking expensive to build a fab that like humanity can afford at any given time, like one latest generation fab. Like Intel's not doing it anymore. I don't know if IBM has done it in decades. Like the planet can afford one. You're like, I don't know. You think you could do it?
I think so. An interesting chart that we did this presentation to our customers. I was asking about AI, and we just show, like we're nowhere near spending levels that we've historically been at for each. So we're like right now we're at this like this is fully loaded. We're at like 1.5 to 1.8%. Like
That's hyperscaler CapEx, which flows through to all the chips as well. Okay.
so we're not even at railroad peak, man. Like we've got a couple. We've got another $3 trillion to spend.
But why is that relevant?
I'm just saying that we're like if this is light if this technology is going to be as influential and life changing as everyone says it's going to be, like railroads were. Like we're not even at the point where like it's not even a blip in the radar.
Okay, so you're saying it's an overreaction, like the total CapEx spend is an overreaction because we've spent more before on other important.
So that question that Andrew said around like going to spend $100 billion on a terafab, it's a blip if it has the outcome that's expected. And you're playing the capitalist game. If you're giving Elon Musk $75 billion to go solve a problem, like it was the cheapest cost of capital for him, I'm guessing, right? Like go be able to over. I don't think you saw like Anthropic raised at $1 trillion. Like 1.7 is 180. The VC model stops to break. Even A16Z, the model stops to break, right? So where do you go? You go to the public markets. We just saw Google raise $80 billion credit line. What they're going to do with that is they're going to go raise $250 billion off the $80 billion now they have cash as assets.
Look, you cannot doubt that he's the most effective fundraiser at all time, better than Sam Altman. He just
100%.
he is the GOAT at fundraising, and he's the GOAT at maybe not deploying capital, but very hard technical outcomes. My hot take is that he's actually not a very good businessman, but he can pull off technical miracles, and that's good enough in this day and age with where we are technologically to be super successful. But so it's obviously it's a good deal for him. Now, I think the more interesting question is at what price do you buy SpaceX? And I'm not asking you to do like any complicated math here, but if it's not 1.75 trillion, like I've thought about this. Let's say it tanks. Okay.
It's going to drop 50% in the next 6 months.
I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't be surprised. But at what price do you buy, Andrew?
I don't know. You do math from Starlink. You do generous multiples on Starlink and launch revenue, and you'd assume that survives whatever the massacre is that happens in AI spend. So I don't know. So I think that would be several hundred billion.
Okay, so you would underwrite at like several hundred billion, mostly because of the Starlink opportunity.
Starlink and launch. Those are it. Guys, I went camping for the first time in 2 years. I was finally in a dark enough spot and I could see the sky, and it's the sky is different than it was 10 years ago. There's just way more satellites that you can see. You can't see most of the small ones. There's just way, like, when I was a kid, I was in Illinois. It was like living between igloos. It was very dark all the time, and you spent a lot of time at night looking at the sky. And like, it was really cool the occasional time that you saw a satellite, right? And now I'm looking up and I'm just like, oh fuck, like you can. I know where north is because I can see all the polar orbits. Like it's just changed the world. Like the launch capability that's been brought out. So like, yeah, I would underwrite on both of those.
Yeah, I would too. I would definitely purchase that. Like, you know, well, I think, and this is going to be fantasy because I'm asking it for to drop 75%, but I think 400 billion is a great valuation. Mike, how about you? What price do you buy?
I don't think it's a good investment. I think if you buy it to support the vision that they're doing.
So you wouldn't. So you needed to buy on primary. So you don't want to buy on the market. You wanted to buy in IPO allocation.
I'd say it's closer to buying war bonds
Yeah.
during World War II.
I mean, I'm gonna. I don't know, man. I feel like equating progress of AI with a war that killed however many tens of millions of people, like, is a little bit of a stretch in terms of
But
like.
no, but
There's something that's a little different about a couple of the rows in the chart, right? Like,
I don't know, but like if Elon's the largest voice for humanity to continue to expand, when there's a lot of voices that are like, oh, we need to stop using energy, we need to stop having children. I think that's a very large existential threat. That is the threat that he's trying to solve for, and he's trying to push back against.
I don't. Yeah, and I don't know how 75 billion. Yeah, I'm gonna have to like. I agree that he's very pro humanity. And I think it's actually one of his most admirable qualities.
Yeah.
But like, I'm gonna need a little bit more to draw the dotted line between 75 billion
all right,
to make
let's
Grok
unpack
better
that. So
and like
a,
the
a lot
future
of
of humanity.
a lot of religions tithe 10% of their salary to religion.
Sure.
Why
You mean
wouldn't
Reasonable
like
causes,
people?
yeah.
people
You don't have to do
okay,
it
yeah,
to like a
people
lot. You don't
donate.
have to give
Yeah,
it to the church. You
exactly.
can give it or
Right, but like
religious. Yeah.
what if you're not a religious person and you're betting on humanity succeeding, why not that be your vehicle to do it, as opposed to giving it to government or something else?
Food banks, vaccines in Africa. Like, do you know how many people don't have access to clean water? Like, we're spending 3% of fucking GDP on data centers so I can chat and have my Tesla make fart noises with Grok, given the number of people who don't have access to food and water. Like, maternal deaths, for fuck's sake. Like,
All that stuff has been drastically decreasing, though.
It's true. It has. I mean, you know what? These things are like there's still abject poverty, but I really like Steven Pinker. If you've ever read his book and Factfulness.
Enlightenment Now, or
Sorry,
which one?
Factfulness.
I don't know.
You should read it. Very good. It's basically like every graph of human suffering is just going down and to the right.
Drastically
And
down to the right.
I do believe it. I mean, I think on media things are quite polarizing, and you can see things to be bad. But like, look, like
It can be going
abject
down
poverty.
and to the right, and the absolute value.
Yes,
Like,
the absolute value. It doesn't mean that we have to not pay attention to the absolute value of or people who are still suffering. But I still think there are forces in motion that are reducing suffering, and poverty is being alleviated so much that they're just redefining every year what the actual the floor is for the poverty rates, which is great. But like you guys you're talking past each other, right? Like I still think you can be aspirational and want to deploy money in data centers because like I actually do think it's going to be a force for good. And I think you're also right to be upset, Andrew, at still like the state of things in certain cases. Those are both true. But look, I actually don't find charities to be very effective in how they spend their capital. I do think corporations are better, but that's just my worldview.
that would be an interesting to try to like answer somehow. I don't know where it would fall out. I would imagine there's a huge wide distribution because like the three of us know some corporations that and may have worked at various corporations that are really fucking
We're not
terrible at
biased.
spending capital, right? Like,
We're not biased.
yeah,
Okay, so yeah, so you wouldn't, at no price, Mike, you would buy this for an investment. That can't be true.
none.
You wouldn't buy it.
Or maybe it goes down to 90%.
Yeah,
Like, and it's a different, like, I'm also like on the bell curve of risk. Like I have equity in a startup, and I have like T-bills and a Vanguard account, right? Like, so I don't know. That was the hot take of investment advice, but
Okay, let's talk space data centers. There's been so much talk about it. I like honestly, I don't understand. I think there's a lot of land There's a lot of land here in the US, a lot of land in Canada. Obviously, like, there's political hurdles. What is the bull thesis for space data centers? Like, why would we do this?
Why would we do this? We would do this because we need to increase capacity and we don't have the energy on Earth to do it. Building a data center in space reduces the energy consumption because you can make solar panels more efficient in space.
Isn't that like a
How
factor of 2 more efficient?
I think it's 80%. 80x is a lot more
No
efficient.
way. There's no way it's 80x. 80
You never,
times.
you never have, do you never have daylight or you only have daylight?
That's 2 to 3x.
No, but
Then
the
you,
solar
then you,
intensity increases with I believe it's the square of distance. So I think that is true. Let's see.
it's pretty wild. Like, and your solar panels in orbit don't have to have glass on them, so they weigh less. So that means you can have more of them. There's all these metric. Like the actual correlation of that is pretty aggressive. And then you can use heat pipe technology to remove the heat from the
Where does it
system.
go? It has to be
As-
radiated, right?
That's what a heat pipe does.
Well, you take it from the hot chip or whatever, and you take it somewhere else, right?
Correct.
And
Correct.
oh man, I made a graphic for this. Watch this. This is our most disagreeable that we've ever been. I love it.
Right, it's 8x. It's 8x insulation. So you get, yeah, about 8x more in space than you do on Earth.
8x, not 80x. Gee, that's way off.
Yeah. Hey, only an
Only
order
off,
of
only off
magnitude.
by a 10.
Only
10x.
order of magnitude. That's good.
Yeah. Well, so there's also a lot of land for solar panels. Isn't the issue heat? Like fundamentally, to get the heat out of the data center in space, I have to radiate it away. I have to have a large surface area that's held at a high enough temperature that like black body radiation takes it out into space, right?
Heat pipes.
Yeah. A
So
heat pipe
what are
and then
the,
a
what,
big fucking like piece of thing at like that's held at whatever that temperature is. Like if you whereas here on Earth, we can also do that. But then we also have evaporative, convection, and conductive like methods of heat cooling, right? And probably other ones besides that I don't know. Oh god, you can see this. Man, I'm really fucking this, aren't I? Goodbye. Stop sharing. Fine. How do you cool this thing off? It doesn't make any fucking sense. Everyone who talks to me about space data centers was talking at me about crypto 3 years ago.
Yeah. This is it. Here's my diagram from Fable. So
Can you
what
zoom
would
in? Can
happen?
you zoom in?
Yeah. So what would happen? There'd be like these rods, these heat pipes that would stick out towards Earth. So you'd have the solar panels facing the sun consistently in heliocentric orbit. Is that heliocentric orbit? Whatever meter you're seeing the sun.
Yeah. We're
You have the
heliocentric.
GPU running, and then you'd have a heat pipe on the back pointing towards Earth. They would be the size of refrigerators or a rack right now. Assuming there's a lot of things that had to happen to make this work. Like the cost of getting a kilogram into space has to drop by another 100x for this to make sense. Like is it like
And it's only decreased by 20x for just for the listener. It's decreased by
whatever?
20x
Yeah.
since.
The launch cost, actually. I still think it's fucking dumb.
Say that again, Andrew.
I would buy that the launch cost will decrease by another 100x. I still think space data centers are fucking dumb and won't work. Or sorry, won't be economic. Someone will make one work. Like there will be a cluster of GPUs running in space, I'm sure.
I mean, if you play this out as we continue to grow, the goal would be you absorb all of the sun's energy to transition it into tokens, and then you become a tier 1 society.
On
So if
the
you go
what,
full
cardio
Dyson
scale?
sphere,
Dyson
and
sphere
it's
for
all
AI
tokens.
girlfriends.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. If it is a game changing as people say it is, like you'll continue to build capacity. We go back. Literally, they're shutting down data set. Like if you also think about this, they're shutting down data centers because people don't understand how a data center works, and it says it's using more water, and it's like pulling water out of the system.
Yeah, but you
Those are
need like
those are the same people
there
that
will
think
be
like
there's a lot of counties in Texas, and like some of those
the
counties are going to
power is
be
not there though. And the issue with Texas is Texas's energy grades by itself and it sucks.
But Mike, with the amount of money that you need to invest to make this work, if you have the land on Earth, just go build out some energy
I don't
capacity
think we
there.
have the
Go
land
set
on
up
Earth.
natural gas turbines.
We don't have the land on Earth.
Say it again.
We don't have the land on Earth.
We definitely have the
we
land
definitely
on
have the
Earth.
land on
We have.
Earth.
Come on, we have the land on.
Why are data center getting canceled right now?
Well, that's a good question. They are facing significant political backlash because the whole narrative around AI from Dario Amodei has been these models are going to take everyone's jobs, and I think people are rightfully scared.
He's trying to raise money.
He's the
He's an
best.
effective.
Well,
He's
he's
an
a really good
effective alter.
marketer
He's
as
also
well.
an effective altruist. That's like BFFs with SBF. So
SPF's a good investor.
great investor.
Yeah. If only he. Anyway, I'm still shocked that SBF got caught. He was running like one of the best schemes ever.
Didn't they made all the investors whole, right?
Yeah, more than
Like,
whole.
more than whole. They did
More than
they
whole.
did well.
It
But
was
they held. If they would
Not
have
just
held,
the
they would have
investors, sorry, the
10x.
customers, not just the investors
Yeah,
and
the customers and
customers
their
were made
investors.
more than whole.
Yeah, they had a liquidity crunch, and it was only a little liquidity crunch. Like even when SBF was running his thing, when he had Alameda and he had FTX, I was like, okay, so you're running a hedge fund and you are trading retail dollars. Like this is the best scheme ever because people pay for payment for order flow. This is how Citadel monetized Robinhood. Robinhood would give them all of their orders with like a couple second delay, and then Citadel would just monetize that and either buy or sell in advance of market, and it was genius. So like the fact that he lost a bunch of money was crazy to me because he could have just printed money forever.
Whatever the book is about him by Michael Lewis is very good.
Oh, have you read it?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's fun. It's a Michael Lewis book, like, but it's just like the madness of it, right? Just captures it well. Like there are all these things where he's like, because he was spending time with SBF as it was falling apart. So like he's like trying to find his way to the empty townhouse, like wherever in the Caribbean they were, like as people are deciding to leave town. Like he happened to time like the profile perfectly for that.
Okay, so space data centers, you don't think they make sense? Mike, why do they make sense? I
Power
know
and
that
land.
like data centers are getting canceled, but some of them, I mean, I would say that's probably the minority of data centers getting canceled. There's one being built not too far from me, and my mom did send me a TikTok horrified at how much water they purportedly use and how much noise that they will make. And
Do
people
people
are launching
understand
these
how the
like
system works? This is what bothers me so much about. Like, do people understand how a data center works?
it's closed loop.
Probably not. I mean,
No,
I don't
no
know
one
that I do.
understands. Like it's closed loop water, obviously, but
Is it?
people
I
don't.
thought some of them were open loop.
They have evaporators. Some of them have evaporators
Yeah.
that you would run a cooling tower on the outside to evaporate off the heat. Very small portion of that process. Most of our you're not running external water from a lake over top your $35 million NVIDIA GPU. If you need to understand that, it's frustrating. It's like
Someone clubbing endangered animals that come in the intake and like, yeah.
it's the same people
Throw
that's
another
like
child in the generator. We need this data center needs to be cooled.
it's the same people that don't get the no one can have an opinion if they don't get no one can have an opinion on this if they don't get the joke. A guy walks into a bar and orders H2O, and his buddy orders H2O2. What happens to his buddy? And if you don't get that joke, you cannot have an opinion about like what's actually happening in a data center and how it works.
What is H2O2? Is that peroxide?
Yeah, it's hydrogen peroxide. Actually, a Canadian friend of mine tried to convince me at one point that all Canadians have a tradition of drinking a little bit of hydrogen peroxide whenever they get sick. I'm like,
true.
not even kidding.
That is true.
Your full self-driving Tesla picks it up from the nearest igloo.
That's right.
Do you want to chat? So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like this, what's fascinating about it is, so again, everyone's like, so people see charts like this and they see like, what this chart is showing here is the cooling technologies of the racks. So historically, they would blow air over the racks to cool them off. Now they're using water cooled or refrigerant cooled or liquid cooled. So what this does and what's interesting about this is this actually allow, I'm on the right page to, so This allows the chips to run at a higher temperature without failure. So historically, I mean, this is not even historical, it's 6 years ago, and the A100s ran at 50F, or they needed 50F to run efficiently. What you needed to do that was you needed an air cooled or a water chilled system, which is big chillers outside. A data point when Vera Rubin came out, Train Technologies, the largest chiller manufacturer in the country, stock went down 10% because of that. Because Vera Rubin chips don't necessarily need water, chilled water loop to cool off. So it's interesting what is that these systems outside the cooling systems are different. They're changing. We already have manufacturer backlog on this A100 level. So as the market expands, we're starting to see a shift in how you actually reject heat. This is starting to go down that path of like getting into the heat pipe technologies and things like that. So it's just interesting and fascinating. A lot of the customers we work with are customers that sell product lines around this. And these aren't things that like, oh, I make chillers tomorrow and I make a dry cooler. It takes 3 to 5 years to build up manufacturing capacity to do this. So just seeing these kind of trends and these conversations we're having with manufacturers and reps is very interesting as to what they're seeing in market. Because a dry cooler isn't something you use in a commercial building as much. So
Do data centers, so the like semiconductor world has the 10 years ago when I was briefly in that world, there's the ITRS roadmap, I think is what it's called, where the major players, so ASML, the chip factories, the designers, the design tooling companies, like the CAD companies, would come together and agree around what different node technologies were going to be. They'd say like, okay, we're going to be targeting FinFETs, with this
yes,
line width, like in this. Okay, so there's no, and it let you, because it took years for even the software technology to
right.
design around something to mature, and so let people like guide to the same place, and so none of that exists like at the data center level. It's all
I mean, people are trying to do this. So like, train partners with NVIDIA,
yeah.
right? Because they're trying
Because
to
like
see
nobody can
the
buy NVIDIA, nobody can turn NVIDIA chips on if they can't cool them. So NVIDIA wants this to, they want these people to be organized.
correct. It's yeah,
Shit, you should start a dry tower
cooler.
cooling tower manufacturer and get NVIDIA to invest in it. They probably put money into that.
They're not. It's same. They're not complicated.
So
They're simple. They're not a lot of margin in it.
yeah, but you could pay yourself very nicely.
He's interesting. Again, it's an interesting data point. We're talking to manufacturers. They're starting to do like capacity planning and investments where they invest, and they're trying to understand where the market's going, and it's going so fast. For us, as like we do software things, we do bits in the world. They're actually moving atoms. So it's very fascinating. That's why you're seeing these long lead times of like GE Vernova, like Siemens. Right now is the turbine. There's going to be other supply constraints in the future.
Fascinating.
So, I mean, based on this, Mike, I mean, what's the build vision thesis on this? Like, if you want to
For
plug it,
data centers, there's a lot more. It's gonna be a lot more verticalization and skew and skid selling than anything. So you go to like a Jacobs Engineer, one of the largest data center builders in the country. They're going to partner with reps and manufacturers very early on and starting to ship SKUs as opposed to custom design buildings. So
what
you're
does
going to get in
shipping
this.
SKUs mean?
So like think of like sending Lego blocks to a job site. Sorry, skids, not SKUs. Skids like Lego blocks to a job site instead of like building that loop on the job site because there's a lot of labor constraints. So I would
What's
say there's going to be
different? Don't we already prefab a lot of the MVP for
what's
this?
fascinating is
What's
they
different?
don't. Like QTS is an example, kind of wants a unique data center at each facility. Like there's Jacobs and these engineering firms are trying to push this, but then you get in this world where a lot of the big manufacturers don't have any capability to do like prefab. So they'll have to go partner with like a rep, a mechanical subcontractor, go do it. And you need capacity because it's huge. And again, it's this ramp up of, hey, I have a $10 billion data center in Louisiana. they haven't done $10 billion of mechanical work in 100 years. So how do you scale up the team around that to support that? So they're trying to find an off and do these skids offsite, and then you ship them and kind of plug and play. I think that's going to be very, very beneficial and powerful. And we're seeing manufacturers really into that. Companies like Motive. What's happening is manufacturers are partnering with more other manufacturers to pitch and pull together products. And then there's a lot of the PE world has gone through the mechanical rep network specifically and started to like buy up and group these guys together. And then they're coming together and offer data center offerings. So, hey, I need to do a data center in New Jersey. Well, here's my buddy Kevin. Kevin reps, 300 lines. He'll do all the warehousing, do everything for you. You just hand it over to the data center. There's one interesting note is like data centers are they're not cost sensitive at all. They're more reliability sensitive. And in order to be reliability sensitive, you need a very, very strong service network built around it. And again, having a strong service network in the middle of nowhere, Louisiana is very, very challenging. Just have resources there consistently.
How much service does one need?
90% of the building, 90% of the cost of the building.
Sorry.
GPUs break all the time. NVIDIA chips break all the time.
But like you also hear about how data centers like aren't big jobs programs once they're in operation. There's a lot of tax revenue, but not a lot of jobs because you don't need that many people.
Yeah. You don't need 10,000 people running it, right? But you need
relative to the CapEx, I guess.
Yeah. You got to have a mechanic guy. You have to have a mechanical guy, electrical guy, always on staff.
How are you going to service those in space?
Boom.
The cost won't matter. They'll just rip out. Just like what they do with Starlink now. You don't service Starlink in space.
How does it make it? This is what like. There's so many hurdles here. This is what I just don't understand. There's so many hurdles. Just
like, if you think it's hard to get a service person to like rural Louisiana, you should see what it takes to get them to space.
Why do they service them on Earth then?
Because they're all in one place. And they're massive. And they're expensive assets.
Right, they're expensive assets.
You're not going to service a $30,000 data center in space.
Do they become less expensive in space?
No, there's only one. There's one SKU. There's one guy. So that a data center's got thousands. There's one. They're by themselves. They're doing it'd be exactly like Starlink.
But but then all of them will need to be serviced, right? Because like to your point, they break all the time. So imagine that like they're all going to need to be serviced, or like are they just going to be dropped out of orbit and they're just going to burn out?
Dropped out of orbit. Yeah,
that makes it make less sense, not more sense to me.
So we're going to take something that needs a lot of service that currently we're able to service because it's all in one place, and we're going to break it into small parts, and we're going to put it where it's really hard to get to. And then instead of servicing it, we're just going to like burn it up.
We'll launch it into the sun.
Or they're already catching rockets. Why can't they catch the data center, service it on land, and then ship it back up?
Or it could just be on that.
The only thing you're really solving for is like the 8x difference in power.
So this is there's no science there's no science challenges anymore. It's all engineering challenges for this.
Okay, so you're saying there's no fundamental law of physics that has to be broken to make this work. Sure, that I appreciate. Same with like catching a reusable rocket, but with reusable rockets it makes sense because you amortize the cost of your CapEx over a longer period of time and you get more bang for your buck. I can do 20 launches instead of one launch. So now that $4 billion, now it's it's a $200 billion. Sorry, it's $20 billion per launch. I can like launch more things into space. That makes sense. I could decrease launch costs. Here, you have to get it up, which is very expensive. You amortize it over a shorter period of time. In exchange for what? You get more power
and
better inference, instant inference to anybody in the space, just like they're doing with Starlink.
Is it instant? We have fiber optic cables carrying this data on Earth.
Most Starlink runs through fiber. You go to a local base station and then go through fiber.
How does it get to the receiver? What are they using?
Lasers.
Okay, for like latency.
Again, we're talking about engineering problems, not science problems.
I agree. No, that's fine. That's still fine, but this still has to make sense economically.
Yeah. It didn't make sense in 1912.
But at least the narrative
around they still don't economic. Like, aren't airlines like these huge cost centers? Like, haven't they never made money?
Yeah,
it's great, but like,
no, Amex pays Delta $4 billion a year. It's a great business model.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? It makes me I can get to New York in an hour as opposed to taking the train for 16.
I love airlines. Don't get me wrong, but that's the
mindset shift I'm trying. It's not like, oh, this is a good business. That like it's hey, we're driving innovation. And are you willing to take risk on that driven innovation? People are, and people will
Elon can
invest.
make a terafab. If he can make a terafab, he can make a tera data center all over the world. Like he
If you
already
can make a
built.
terafab, you better buy the fucking stock now because it's going to go up to $7 trillion if he successfully produces a MSC quality chip.
Do you
What's
think that's
TSMC's market cap? Are they must be publicly traded.
Yeah, they're like a trillion.
Okay.
where would you put the difficulty of making a terafab relative to
I think it's the
making?
hardest. I think it's the hardest project ever done by humanity.
But it's already been done.
We've
No, it
done it
hasn't. No, no,
once.
no, it's not. No, because AMSL is a company that builds the machine.
Yeah, the
AMSL gets
lithography
mirrors
machine.
from Germany. The,
But is
the
he
mirrors
building?
are
Is he
he's
also
doing
trying
the
to do
whole
that
thing,
too? Like, is he trying to
whole
build a
thing in house,
lithography,
whole
like a
thing in
10
house,
lithography? He's trying to do the whole thing.
whole thing in house.
This isn't like, but
That's
the
crazy.
semiconductor world, it isn't like fucking automotive where the supply chain gets pieced together and so it's impossible to innovate. Like these companies that we're talking about, like their engineers are on site with each other all the time. Like yeah, they live differently and there's different companies and different geographies, but they're like it's different from like the Tesla vertical integration story.
I love it. I think it's great.
ASML, there's just like this fantastic video from Veritaserum on
Yeah,
ASML, the whole machine. It's like it's a miracle.
yeah. It's hitting tin atoms at 500 miles per hour, whatever it is,
Yeah,
3 times in
10,000
a
times
row.
a second. Easy, easy. Engineering marvel. You know what though? Like
Engineering
he's
problems. When we go back, it's an engineering problem. It's not a science problem.
well, you
And
can't reduce it down to that because again, like there has to be an economic impetus to do it that way based on what engineering innovations he thinks he's going to be making. But like, I still don't see the actual business case for doing it.
I have a whole, I wrote a long article about it. I think, so if you look at the
I'll
real
send it.
world, it's actually Fable did most of it, which was really cool. I spent 3 hours and $300
And
in Fable
you should
credits.
lead with that. I co-authored with Fable.
Oh, well, I did. I did leave with that. And it's like the correlation of like the fiber build out, the train build out, and what's going on right now. And the thesis very much follows what Elon's doing. You build the hard assets and own the hard assets and rent things that are depreciating. So in that world, the depreciating assets, an LLM, a foundational model, becomes new every 3 weeks. A GPU changes every 2 to 3 years. The actual building, the infrastructure, the launch capabilities are 30 to 50-year assets. So you invest in those assets. The buildings are going to, the power that they're building now will be able to be used for the next 100 years, regardless,
Yeah, power I
at
buy. I
his
don't know about the
facility.
launch
So
assets though.
like the actual ability to launch,
They started
like
22 years ago, so it's not a 30-year
the
asset.
but the infrastructure to launch.
I don't
And
know.
then the other
Blue
side is owning
Origin
the
is blowing
capital.
shit up pretty well.
Yeah, because
Also,
so then,
sorry, Mike, continue
yeah,
your
go
thought.
ahead.
I was just going to ask, what's the business case on Starship?
It doesn't it drops when
Yeah,
it works,
reduction
it'll
of
drop launch
cost.
costs again,
Yeah,
right?
So
yeah,
just higher payload.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That seems super as a not that one seems to have a real economic impetus. Like if you could
It just the
farm
TAM's
that
not
off, I
very
would buy
big.
that. And that is just an engineering problem.
Yeah, the whole bet was own the durable layer, the defensible price, rent the perishable one. So rent everything in red, buy everything in green. Is kind of the thesis.
Mm. And what's in there? Accelerator, economic life. Sorry, can you unpack that a bit?
So economic life is historically your book life for depreciation of a GPU. CoreWeave does 5 to 6 years. But this bet is if what if the newest chip is that much better? Are you going to, again, this isn't true yet because every chip is hot. There's no cold, there's no dark chips like there's dark fiber. But as the models progress, as the chips get continuously better, is there an asymptote on chips, which would reduce this book life because you do burn them out. So, like, could you run inference on an A100 and run your training on the whatever the newest one is? And in that world, then you're like the A100s will get commoditized because the price will continue to go down. You don't need a cutting edge one. So like interesting charts of this. I thought was like there's this other chart. We talked about that one.
Did OpenAI buy GPUs from former crypto miners
That's
when crypto
Caruso.
switched?
Caruso did it.
Caruso did that? Okay.
Yeah, but then Oracle just backed out of the Caruso project in Wyoming because they weren't able to execute on it.
What were
Seems
they
like
not
they
able
need
to
to better
execute on?
coordinate their design phase and pre-construction, if you ask me.
Yeah,
If they had
they
a
were.
better
Yeah.
scope of work, maybe it wouldn't have been a problem.
So like this is a good. This is an interesting. This is a Dylan Patel statistic. It's an interesting metric to watch. The cost per hour of each chip, each chip type. So there was an inflection where you're seeing now the H100 prices going back up, even after the newer chips were released. A lot. It's a lot of moving parts. A lot of moving parts. But I think they did a really good job of actually. Because it's just a bet that the actual foundation models, the frontier models, actually captured the least value. Was its position. That was interesting.
Yeah, it's very cool. Can you send this to me
Yeah, yeah. I posted it. It's live. I posted it on
on
I had
LinkedIn?
yeah, I think so.
Okay, I'll take a look.
It just again, again, it's fable written. I'm just like trying to understand. Honestly, like it's. I realize I just said that to Luigi.
Are you you're just evaluating like the vibes of Fable post launch?
I think it's like because you hear these like questions or pain points pop up of like okay, Amazon's cutting spend. I heard it from Procore. I heard it from all these other companies. Like, what does it actually mean to the market? Like, if Anthropic, like, if no one actually needs to use Fable, as an example, if at the cost that it's at, what contraction does that happen? What happens if that's a true statement? Because they're building data. Because what's interesting about what these guys are doing is historically you got a software asset which was super light on capital, or not capital, but like infrastructure. Now, Anthropic is building data centers with the expectation that people continue to use the latest models moving forward. What happens if someone's like, you know what, Opus is good enough?
I think that happens all the time. Like I like 4.7. I think 4.7 is good. 4.7 max effort. It's fine.
So
Fable, there's no
th-
perceptible difference for me in my use case.
this loop breaks if that happens.
What loop specifically?
This loop is like Anthropic buys chips from NVIDIA. NVIDIA invests in hyperscalers and Anthropic because they're continuously buying the next greatest chip. They're building more data centers. If they just need basic inference on a model that it's, again, this is where my mind breaks. Like with these
Inference still
pieces,
goes up though because they're not fully penetrated. It's the market is not saturated. There are still businesses that are not using these. There are people that are not using these. So I say net inference continue. I think net inference like 1,000 to 100,000 x's over the next 5 years. There's
that's
there's so much agent capability out there that has not saturated the world. Now, will that be Anthropic? Maybe not. I still think open source will do great, but you're going to need the GPU capacity. So I don't think it
so
does
that's
actually break the loop. It just comes from
that's
somewhere else.
that's the SpaceX bet. They're buying the structure around it, and they'll be able to say like what if we get to edge computing, and you can actually
Can
run
you
a found
can you educate
an
me? Oh, on the
on a
phone.
phone on your
Yes,
phone.
yes, yes. You can do that now.
What if you could run Fable on your phone?
No, too big.
Not
Why?
yet.
Right now, again, it's
Right now.
an engineering problem, not a software, not a science problem.
I put this to my friend the other day. You know, we were talking about
It might be an engineering problem.
the
A
bull
science
case.
problem, you mean? It might be a
It might.
science
Yeah, I'm
problem.
not sure. Yeah, sorry, Luigi. Go ahead.
No, the only thing it's actually related. We were talking about inference and how inference is going to continually increase. We're talking about storage actually, and he was like, "Well, like, isn't just like, can we just compress storage further?" I'm like, "Yes." And then Google came out with their way to like, 1/8 storage everywhere, and it was no longer a concern. So
Pied Piper, baby. Let's go.
middle
All
out.
right. On that note, I gotta go. Appreciate you guys.
Good time
Thanks for the
there.
time this morning.
So,
Andy, take care. See you. All right, let's stop the stream here.
yeah.
I'll stop.